Why is the cult obsessed with Saturn? If you look at the three monolithic religions, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, they're all Saturn worship. As far as the earthly realm version, the church version, Christianity is the farthest removed, but the church is still involved in cube worship. If you look at the Kaaba, how the Muslims go around the cube. If you look at the hexagram, which is also known as the tetragrammaton, which is also known as Yahweh, it's the exact same lines as a cube, but rearranged. This happens a lot because we're dealing with interdimensional. It's a hypercube. It's the rearrangement of a hypercube, which is a fourth dimensional cube. The cube that we have on Earth is a shadow, a three-dimensional shadow. And of course, the Christian cross unfolds into a cube. Christ was crucified on the cube of Saturn and was resurrected beyond it. So for me, it's very strange for people to be wearing crosses. And I always kind of cite comedians that and I can't remember who said this, but he was saying that when Christ comes back, that's the last thing he's gonna want to see is a cross. I personally like the hands praying, representing Christ, but that's just a personal preference. I know what you all mean, so it's not. I'm not thinking bad of anybody, but it's all cube worship, and the cube is at the pole of Saturn. On the opposite pole is the eye. These all have to do with magnetism. Just like if you look at the Kaaba that the Muslims worship and go around, it looks the same as a magnetic field because it's a magnetic field. Microcosm imitates macrocosm, as above, so below. Why is the cult obsessed with Saturn, and why do they want us focusing on Saturn? If you look at the work of Ike, David Icke, he talks about the Saturn moon matrix. The moon is an artificial, most likely hollow, some sort of station. It's a timepiece. And Saturn is basically a supercomputer that divides time. Time is divided because time is absolute. The reason it's divided is because when you have absolute time, you have abundance. You understand that you're infinite. You understand that you live forever. You understand, and maybe you're complacent, that you have all the time in the world. You're every version of yourself, from birth to death, to rebirth, to re-death, through this cycle, the infinite cycle of life, because there's little cycles and the big cycles. And everything comes back around in every imaginable way. Infinite bigness turns to infinite smallness. Life is death, death is life, up is down, down is up. They all intermingle through infinity. So the supercomputer that is Saturn is dividing time so that it's linear, so that there's a beginning and an end. And it's also encoding the matrix using the Fibonacci sequence, which I've talked about before many times. But the Fibonacci sequence, which is synonymous with the Tetragrammaton, which is synonymous with Yahweh. And if you know about the Hebrew text in the original Torah, you understand that there's no spaces between the words. It's code. It's computer code. And if you know about the Bible code, you understand that it uses alphanumeric code and equilateral spacing to give you different messages, forward and backwards in time. And what's recently been discovered is that if you use the hypercube technique, which is to rearrange the code, not two-dimensionally, because two-dimensionally is how you read it. That's one way of reading the code. You can rearrange it three-dimensionally, and the whole new level of coding happens. But the real magic is when you arrange it like a hypercube, a fourth-dimensional cube. The cult worships stars. Stars they worship the Mazzaroth. They worship different gods. It's called astrotheology, basically. And different gods have different powers, and there's so many of them. You can pick one, so it's more personalized. Like they have more time than the ultimate Most High. I think that seems to be what they believe. That maybe the big guy is too busy, and maybe he's not so concerned with your little short life. Maybe he's concerned with your eternal soul, and you're living your short life so that you learn lessons to bring back to the source that created you, because it's evolving infinitely through time. And it's important to have a sense of loss. It's important to have a sense of time, because if you have all the time in the world to do something, then you'll do it when you do it. Who cares? If I don't do it this year, I'll do it next year. If I don't do it this lifetime, I'll do it next lifetime. Who cares? It'll happen eventually. It's happening right now in some alternate dimension. A more productive version of myself is taking care of it right now. What am I going to worry about it? I'm going to go get a beer. And Saturn seems to be a go-between. And this is my opinion. This is my opinion. I'm just telling you what I see as I see it. And if more information comes to me, I'll definitely let you know I know more. This is just stuff that I think is interesting. He seems to be a go-between. And through all these different synchronisms, and synchronism is when you mix all these different beliefs and you conflate gods. So I talk about this synchronism all the time, where one civilization conquers another, and they absorb the culture. Instead of killing them and torturing them, it's just easier to get them to pay taxes. If they just change the names of stuff, some things, and assimilate what they've got with their stuff, and then the next generation will worship the way the government wants them to worship. This has been done since time immemorial, and it's this being done today, to this day. It's being done. So all these different gods, I talk about egregore, and how if you just focus your co-creation powers on an entity like Baphomet, for instance, which is an intentionally conflated god made up of different gods, it becomes real, and it has the different attributes that you want. So they can make these hodgepodge gods and worship them, but it always comes back down to Saturn. Synchronicity. Sync is Greek for together. Chronicity comes from the word chronos. The etymology is chronos, time. Who's time? Saturn. Saturn is chronos. Chronos is time. Time is death. So this is why they're obsessed. And they have their Osiris resurrection rituals, where Osiris is resurrected as Ra through Orion's belt. So you have more time. But for what? For power. You have more time. Imagine if you just had all the golden juice you could drink so that you can live longer. Right? David Rockefeller, I think it was, had like, was it 9 heart transplants? So not only do you have the golden juice, but you got the cheddar to buy all the hearts you want through your human trafficking, right? You just grab a guy that matches your stuff, get you some new organs, and you're good to go. In China right now, they've got prisons where if I were so inclined, I could just go over there if I had money and buy new anything I want, because the Uyghurs, which is it's a religion that's not recognized, they're imprisoned over there, and they're basically living organ donors. They'll go over there, they'll chop them open, take whatever organ I need, and put it in me fresh. I'll kill the dude on the table next to me and put the organs fresh. Can't get it any fresher, like sushi. I know that's macabre, but that's happening today. This is to be immortal in the 3-dimensional realm, to rule over time. But like I said, the Matrix is made out of Fibonacci. The Matrix comes from the Saturn computer. It's like a projection. That's the code. And it's an imitation. The reason I always say, one of the many reasons, but the reason I say that Yahweh is a pretender to the throne and an imposter is because he admits it if you read the Old Testament. And if you just look at all the evidence, he is the Tetragrammaton. Yahweh is the Tetragrammaton. The hexagram, and the hexagram is the star of Remphan. Right? The star of Remphan. That's what it is. So from so many angles, we're pointing back to Saturn as being a lower god. It's idolatry. And that's all they did in the Old Testament. They were idolaters. Moloch, Remphan. Who else? Dagon. And tons more. And Baal, incidentally, is just a title. It means master or lord. So when you hear about Baal, it's not a separate god. It's a title. Like the word God is a title. It's just the name of the office. It's just the name of the position. But you can say God. When you hear all these celebrities saying God, I want to thank God. They're using a device. Most of them are not talking about the one true God. They're talking about their personal God, because they're idolaters. Many of them have tattoos letting you know, and they make their little gang signs to let you know what they're really about. They cover the eye, they throw up sixes, they do the Osiris cross arms. A great veil from the eyes of humanity will be lifted once we understand symbolism. So this is what it's all about. More time, more power. They worship the video game. Like I always say, if there's 7 heavens, we're on the 3D level. And instead of graduating to the next level, they want to be gods here. Forever. More and more power. I mean, look at the Rothschild family, right? Pacers. Many families. Like 1% of the world owns more than anybody in the world put together. And they say we're overpopulated. When everybody on the planet, 8 billion plus, 8.5 something billion, can all fit comfortably in Texas, but we're overpopulated. We're a burden. We're committing ecocide. Has nothing to do. There's just too many sheep to take care of. It's hard to keep people from transcending and transforming and lifting this fallen world back up to where it belongs. It's easier to get rid of those people and rule in hell and have, the submissive sheep continue to create your kingdom by feeding them fear through your Mockingbird media and your DARPA internet. That's all it's about. It's about time. It's about more time. And on a personal level, I just want to close this video by saying that unless you're interested in selling your soul and just being the worst kind of, I don't even know what to call a person, unless you're interested in becoming a demon, you currently live in linear time. And it's very easy. It's very easy. See, Saturn divides time. Just like the devil. Devil divides. Divisive. Devil lies. It's a world of lies built on lies. That's what division is. It's compartmentalization of individual truths in that isolated space. It may be true, right? It's your truth. But in the actual legitimate picture, it's no longer true. But they're compartmentalized, they're divided, so that you can justify infighting and hoarding wealth for power, etc. So it's like a lie. When you lie, you have to remember everything. But when you tell the truth, you just walk in the narrow. You just walk in the path and you don't have to remember anything. And that path in this realm, that narrow, is linear time. So as you're walking your path, and you only have one version of reality, you don't get to live forward or backward in time. The way these people are cheating and trying to live and get around the system and hacking the system. As you walk your linear path and you're met at the crossroads, just do the right thing and then do the next right thing, just like Anna says, right? In Frozen 2, great movie. Don't tell me about Elsagate. That's a different thing. But do the next right thing, and the next right thing, and the next right thing. And you won't have to remember any of your lies. And then, let me punctuate this video this way. There's no do-overs. If you got stuff to fix, fix it now. Because I'm the kind of guy that edits video all the time, and I get impatient. So sometimes I just kind of ramble in a video, and then I just think to myself, oh, I'll fix it in post. I'll just fix it in post. Post-production, I'll just fix it then, because I'm anxious, right? I'm in a hurry. I'm too busy to stop and smell the roses. I'm more concerned with the end, hurrying to my grave, than the process that has infinite depth. Just hanging out with my dog and petting and loving on her, right? Has so much depth. Reading to my son, kissing my wife. There's infinite depth there, but we're quick to grab the phone and scroll. Hurrying to our graves because shit's not going fast enough. Don't get stuck in this mentality. You don't have forever. And none of this can be fixed in post. God bless. See you next time.